Welcome back. Hope you're well. Thank you for joining with me again in this next video of A Course in Miracles. We are going to be beginning chapter 19 today, which is exciting. And I just wanted to remind you that the way that we are moving through the material is unique in as much as we started the year in chapter 18. And the reason why we started the year in chapter 18 was because the course was scribed over a 5-year period. And it just so happened that in chapter 18, the new year was mentioned, helping us to position our focus and our minds for the start of the year. And so I thought, okay, well, we'll just start there. And so as we progress, we're now entering into chapter 19. And the way that I'm structuring the videos is basically me just sharing how I did my practice for many, many years. I would practice the lesson for the day, sometimes over several days, and then I would read a section of the text in exactly the same way that we're going through the text over breakfast. Usually that's when I did the reading. And so that's what we're doing together. We're doing a reading together, reading the section of the text, then we'll practice the lesson. Today's lesson will be lesson 24. And then I also thought I would share a principle of miracles. There are 50 principles written in the text. And so we're just going through them one by one. I came out of the gate with 5 in the beginning, but as we progressed, it made more sense to me to just digest one at a time. And it feels good. You can screenshot the principle, keep it with you, contemplate it over a day or over a week. And also, I want to take us off the hook a little bit. I had a really full week last week, so I wasn't as on top of doing a video for you as I have been in the past. However, again, the course was scribed over a 5-year period. So so for our part, we have 5 years to get through the lessons. And so there are 365 lessons. Some of the lessons include a review period. So today we're up to lesson 24. Okay, so let's begin with chapter 19. I'm going to go ahead and share my screen. Let me see if I can adjust my little mirror, my little window here. Because again, this window seems to travel around. All right, so we're clicking on A Course in Miracles. Clicking on the text. We're scrolling down now to chapter 19, The Attainment of Peace, Healing and Faith. Paragraph 1. We said before that when a situation has been dedicated wholly to truth, peace is inevitable. Its attainment is the criterion by which the wholeness of the dedication can be safely assumed. Yet we also said that peace without faith will never be attained, for what is dedicated to truth as its only goal is brought to truth by faith. This faith encompasses everyone involved, for only thus the situation is perceived as meaningful and as a whole. And everyone must be involved in it, or else your faith is limited and your dedication incomplete. Let's continue with paragraph 2. Every situation, properly perceived, becomes an opportunity to heal the Son of God. And he is healed because you offered faith to him, giving him to the Holy Spirit and releasing him from every demand your ego would make of him. Thus do you set him free. And in this vision does the Holy Spirit share. And since he shares it, he has given it. And so he heals through you. It is this joining him in a united purpose that makes this purpose real, because you make it whole. And this is healing. The body is healed because you came without it and joined the mind in which all healing rests. Okay, we'll take a little minute here to digest some of that. And so we're reminded, as in the principle of miracles that we were looking at in the last video, principle number 41, I think. Yeah, principle number 41, in the wholeness, that a miracle can only take place in the wholeness, not through the separation, not through lack and scarcity. And so now here we're brought up with this word whole again, and we're being told that the wholeness is really what healing is. And in fact, the etymology of the word heal comes from the word whole. And so it's remembering our inherent wholeness, that we aren't separated from the infinite great creator. In fact, we are still one with the creator. We simply have a perception that we are separate, a convincing one. And we're also learning that it is the body that validates and is an effect of that original belief in separation. And so we're given a prescription here. In the very first sentence, we've said before that when a situation has been dedicated wholly to truth, peace is inevitable. So this is the path to healing. This is the medicine. So we want to position our mind, position our hearts, position our intent to see the truth instead of the grievance, instead of the upset. But the only way to do that is when we have faith that there is something greater than ourselves, some wisdom that's greater than ourselves, of which we are not separate from, of which we are a part, not apart. And so there's reference then to healing. So in the second paragraph, let's see. So it is, the whole paragraph is talking about releasing our brothers and sisters from the ego's point of view, which holds them separate and therefore creating the grievance. And so we're setting our brothers and sisters free when we put our intention into sharing God's vision, that is seeing the truth, and therefore not only healing our brothers and sisters, but actually healing ourselves as well. And so we're reminded too that the body is healed because the part of our mind that's closest to God precedes the body, and the body is effect. So when we heal the part of the mind that holds the grievance, then the body follows suit because the body is an effect. All right, let's keep going. I'm going to go ahead and share the screen for paragraph 3. All right, so we're being reminded that the body cannot heal because it cannot make itself sick. It needs no healing. Its health or sickness depends entirely on how the mind perceives it and the purpose that the mind would use it for. It's obvious that a segment of the mind can see itself as separated from the universal purpose. When this occurs, the body becomes its weapon, and against this purpose, to demonstrate the fact that separation has occurred. The body thus becomes the instrument of illusion, acting accordingly, seeing what is not there, hearing what truth has never said, and behaving insanely, being imprisoned by insanity. All right, let's keep going with paragraph 4. Do not overlook our earlier statement that faithlessness leads straight to illusions, for faithlessness is the perception of a brother as a body, and the body cannot be used for purposes of union. If then you see your brother as a body, you have established a condition in which uniting with him becomes impossible. Your faithlessness to him has separated you from him and kept you both apart from being healed. Your faithlessness has thus opposed the Holy Spirit's purpose and brought illusions centered on the body to stand between you. And the body will seem to be sick, for you have made it an enemy of healing and the opposite of truth. Okay, what do you think? So we're being reminded again of the true function of the body. it's helpful, I think, to be reminded of this because we experience our reality through the five physical senses, through the body. We feed the body, we water the body needs to rest, the body feels tired, it has its own biochemical system that gives us feedback. But what this is pointing to is the part of us that precedes the body, the part that inhabits the body. And we also learned that the body is an effect of the illusion and that it's only possible because of the illusion. So that's interesting in and of itself. And so then we've got this double layer then of how the body gets to be used as a justification for the separation by becoming sick and tired, or a weapon, or as an instrument of division. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and share the screen again for paragraph 5. It cannot be difficult to realize that faith must be the opposite of faithlessness. Yet the difference in how they operate is less apparent, though it follows directly from the fundamental difference in what they are. Faithlessness would always limit and attack. Faith would remove all limitations and make whole. Faithlessness would destroy and separate. Faith would unite and heal. Faithlessness would interpose illusions between the Son of God and his Creator. Faith would remove all obstacles that seem to rise between them. Faithlessness is wholly dedicated to illusions, faith wholly to truth. Partial dedication is impossible. Truth is the absence of illusion. Illusion, the absence of truth. Both cannot be together, nor perceived in the same place. To dedicate yourself to both is to set up a goal forever impossible to attain, for part of it is sought through the body, thought of as a means for seeking out reality through attack. The other part would heal, and therefore calls upon the mind and not the body. And so my question here is, what is it that prevents us? What thought system, belief system that keeps faith in the infinite creator, in the divine, in holy truth at arm's length? What is that? So I also like how there's a side-by-side comparison in this paragraph between faith and faithlessness, and it might be a helpful practical exercise to actually put them in two columns and focus our attention using the column that describes faith to read through that and bring that top of mind. All right, so let's continue with paragraph 6. I'm just going to go ahead and share our screen again. The inevitable compromise is the belief that the body must be healed and not the mind. For this divided goal has given both an equal reality, which would be possible only if the mind is limited to the body and divided into little parts of seeming wholeness but without connection. This will not harm the body, but it will keep the delusional thought system in the mind. Here then is healing needed, and it is here that healing is. For God gave healing not apart from sickness, nor established remedy where sickness cannot be. They are together, and when they're seen together, all attempts to keep both truth and illusion in the mind, where both must be, are recognized as dedication to illusion, and given up when brought to truth, and seen as totally unreconcilable with truth in any respect or in any way. All right, so this could be confronting for some people who are really working on physical projects. And I can feel how there could be a frustration for people who are working actively on physical projects, because if you could heal your mind to heal the body, you would have. And so this reminds me of the story of Goenkaji, who was the leading figure in bringing the Vipassana retreat centers to the West. And his origin story is that he was at the time a very young and successful businessman, but the stress of the business world was giving him these migraine headaches. And so a colleague or a friend had suggested that he go to this retreat center in Nepal. And so when he went there, he'd been to many international doctors. He'd been to doctors in America and in Switzerland and all over the world, and he wasn't finding any kind of relief. So when he came to the center, the leading yogi there asked him why he was there. And when he responded that he was there to heal these debilitating migraine headaches, the master said, well, this practice is not for you, because the practice is not to heal the body. The practice is for enlightenment. And so you need to shift your attention, you need to shift your intention. And when your attention and when your intention is for enlightenment, which is the wish to know the truth, then the healing of the body is the effect of that. And so this premise that the cause of imbalance in the body is in the mind is not just here in the Course in Miracles. It also exists elsewhere in the Eastern meditation traditions and healing art traditions by proxy. All right, so let's go ahead and share the screen again, see what's going to happen next. So we have paragraph 7. Truth and illusion have no connection. This will remain forever true, however much you seek to connect them. But illusions are always connected, as is truth. Each is united, a complete thought system, but totally disconnected to each other. And to perceive this is to recognize where separation is and where it must be healed. The result of an idea is never separate from its source. The idea of separation produced the body and remains connected to it, making it sick because of the mind's identification with it. You think you are protecting the body by hiding this connection, for this concealment seems to keep your identification safe from the attack of truth. Right, because our whole lives really is about protecting the body survival. And really that's what we're working with, right? So it's such a paradox, it's such a contradiction, because what are we really asking for freedom from? If the belief in separation is what caused the body, then undoing that belief means what? Then means that the body, the function of the body is no longer needed. And what does that mean? Yeah, it's a scary, scary thought. So this is not for the faint of heart, it is for the dedicated practitioner or the dedicated student. Let's go to paragraph 8. If you but understood how much this strange concealment has hurt your mind and how confused your own identification has become because of it, you do not see how great the devastation wrought by your faithlessness, for faithlessness is an attack that seems to be justified by its results. For by withholding faith, you see what is unworthy of it and cannot look beyond the barrier to what is joined with you. Let's continue with paragraph 9. To have faith is to heal. It is the sign that you have accepted the atonement for yourself and would therefore share it. By faith, you offer the gift of freedom from the past, which you received. You do not use anything your brother has done before to condemn him now. You freely choose to overlook his errors, looking past all barriers between yourself and him and seeing them as one. And in that one, you see your faith is fully justified. There is no justification for faithlessness, but faith is always justified. I love that. There is no justification for faithlessness, for faith is always justified. And this reminds me of a story that a Zen master was sharing about anger, that anger, while understandable, is never justifiable. And so it's interesting to hear that about faith as well, especially when what we're discovering is that in order for anger to be there, it must be because in that moment, the mind has disconnected from faith and has forgotten the true function of that happening or of that person's role. In that story, one of the students was observing that particular master, and he shared that the master would get very angry, but would soon be laughing. And then when he was able to have a private consult, he shared what he had observed with the master, that I noticed that you do get angry, but then you don't seem to carry that anger. And the master responded by saying, well, the difference is that when I'm angry, I know that I am angry. And so as a result of that self-awareness, he uses that energy for an outcome without losing power or without losing control, which is also why then he can shift that energy and turn it around and be laughing in the very next moment. All right, let's continue with our share for paragraph 10. Faith is the opposite of fear, as much a part of love as fear is of attack. Faith is the acknowledgement of union. It is the gracious acknowledgement of everyone as a son of your most loving Father, loved by him like you, and therefore loved by you as yourself. There's the golden rule. It is his love that joins you and your brother, and for his love you would keep no one separate from yours. Each one appears just as he is perceived in the holy instant, united in your purpose to be released from guilt. You see the Christ in him, and he is healed because you look on what makes faith forever justified in everyone. Let's keep going for paragraph 11. Faith is the gift of God, through him whom God has given you. Faithlessness looks upon the Son of God and judges him unworthy of forgiveness. But through the eyes of faith, the Son of God is seen already forgiven, free of all the guilt he laid upon himself. Faith sees him only now because it looks not to the past to judge him, but would see in him only what it would see in you. It sees not through the body's eyes, nor looks to bodies for its justification. It is the messenger of the new perception, sent forth to gather witnesses unto its coming and to return their messages to you. Right. And so what I can't unknow from the quantum healing hypnosis work is that everybody is here playing their perfect part, and they're playing these roles through the body, through the apparatus of the personality or the personality mind. And yet the true essence of their nature is intact. And it seems that this is the part of the self that the text is pointing us to, is the part that precedes the story. It's the part that precedes the roles, these archetypal energies that have us showing up in a certain way in certain situations and for certain people. And then in seeing that within ourselves, then we must see that in one another as well, because if it's true for me, then it is also true for you. But again, I can see how this is scary because we're pointing to the part of ourselves that precedes the body, and this is the realm of protecting the body, and therefore it is the realm of sickness and illness, because sickness and illness is simply an effect of separation. All right, and guilt. I am going back to share our screen for paragraph 12. Faith is a gift you offer to the Son of God through him, and wholly acceptable to his Father as to him, and therefore offered you. Your holy relationship with its new purpose offers you faith to give unto your brother. Your faithlessness has driven you and him apart, and so you do not recognize salvation in him. Yet faith unites you in the holiness you see, not through the body's eyes, but in the sight of him who joined you and in whom you are united. Okay, I think that's fairly self-explanatory. And just to say that faith is the sign that you are sharing truth's vision, that you're sharing divine vision. Let's keep going. All right, chapter 13. How much more have we got to go? Ooh, okay. Chapter 13. Grace is not given to a body, but to a mind. And the mind that receives it looks instantly beyond the body and sees the holy place where it was healed. There is the altar where the grace was given, in which it stands. Do you, then, offer grace and blessing to your brother, for you stand at the same altar where grace was laid for both of you, and be healed by grace together, that you may heal through faith. Now, the course text often brings up this image of the altar. I like using our imagination. I think our imagination is a gift, is a grace. So I like using the gift of the imagination as a bridge to visualize these metaphors. And so perhaps that's something that you would like to do, is to visualize this altar before which you stand together with someone with whom you do not have 100% peace around, and ask for the part of the mind that holds the grievance to be healed while you stand together, receiving the grace of healing, the grace of true perception together at the altar. All right, let's continue with paragraph 14. In the holy instant, you and your brother stand before the altar God has raised unto himself in both of you. Lay faithlessness aside and come to it together. There will you see the miracle of your relationship as it was made again through faith. And there it is that you will realize that there is nothing faith cannot forgive. No error interferes with its calm sight, which brings the miracle of healing with equal ease to all of them. For what the messengers of love are sent to do, they do, returning the glad tidings that it was done to you and your brother who stand before the altar from which they were sent forth. And so the imagery continues here, where you can visualize yourself standing at an altar together with someone in your life with whom you do not have 100% peace around, asking for the grace of God to heal the mind that holds on to the grievance, that prevents you from seeing the true aspect of their nature, the part that precedes the roles, the part they're playing. And so you can use this imagery to lay faithlessness aside. So if faithlessness had a color, had a size, had a weight, had a texture, had a place where it was held in the body, where would it be? What would it be like? And you can use the power of your mind in such a way to gather that up, the size, the shape, the texture, the color of it, and set it aside. Place it perhaps at the foot of that altar. All right, so I'm going to go ahead and share our screen again. And let's look at paragraph 15. As faithlessness will keep your little kingdoms barren and separate, so will faith help the Holy Spirit prepare the ground for the most holy garden that he would make of it. For faith brings peace, and so it calls on truth to enter and make lovely what has already been prepared for loveliness. Truth follows faith and peace, completing the process of making lovely that they begin. For faith is still a learning goal, no longer needed when the lesson has been learned, yet truth will stay forever. And so that's a comforting thought, that truth remains forever. So once the truth has been seen, it won't be unseen. And in the meantime, what we're doing is simply using our small willingness to see the holy light of truth, which follows faith and peace, according to this text. For me, I would say truth. For me, I would say peace follows truth. But okay, all right. Let's continue with paragraph 16. So I'm going back to share the screen. Let then your dedication be to the eternal, and learn how not to interfere with it and make it slave to time. For what you think you do to the eternal, you do to you. Whom God created as his son is slave to nothing, being Lord of all along with his creator. You can enslave a body, but an idea is free, incapable of being kept in prison or limited in any way except by the mind that thought it. For it remains joined to its source, which is its jailer or its liberator, according to which it chooses as its purpose for itself. That's exciting. All right. So this is freedom. Freedom from what? Freedom from guilt, freedom from fear, freedom from doubt, freedom from past traumas, freedom from limitation, freedom from confusion, freedom from false thoughts that may seem to question our worthiness, our value, our importance. Alrighty, so let us now go back to the workbook. We are going to now practice lesson 24 together. Okay, so this is an interesting one. I do not perceive my own best interests. All right, so I'm going to have the narrator read this for us.
Lesson 24. I do not perceive my own best interests. In no situation that arises do you realize the outcome that would make you happy. Therefore, you have no guide to appropriate action and no way of judging the result. What you do is determined by your perception of the situation, and that perception is wrong. It is inevitable, then, that you will not serve your own best interests. Yet they are your only goal in any situation which is correctly perceived. Otherwise, you will not recognize what they are. If you realized that you do not perceive your own best interests, you could be taught what they are. But in the presence of your conviction that you do know what they are, you cannot learn. The idea for today is a step toward opening your mind so that learning can begin. The exercises for today require much more honesty than you are accustomed to using. A few subjects, honestly and carefully considered in each of the 5 practice periods, which should be undertaken today, will be more helpful than a more cursory examination of a large number. 2 minutes are suggested for each of the mind-searching periods which the exercises involve. The practice period should begin with repeating today's idea, followed by searching the mind with closed eyes for unresolved situations about which you are currently concerned. The emphasis should be on uncovering the outcome you want. You will quickly realize that you have a number of goals in mind as part of the desired outcome, and also that these goals are on different levels and often conflict. In applying the idea for today, name each situation that occurs to you, and then enumerate carefully as many goals as possible that you would like to be met in its resolution. The form of each application should be roughly as follows. In the situation involving blank, I would like blank to happen and blank to happen, and so on. Try to cover as many different kinds of outcomes as may honestly occur to you, even if some of them do not appear to be directly related to the situation or even to be inherent in it at all. If these exercises are done properly, you will quickly recognize that you are making a large number of demands of the situation which have nothing to do with it. You will also recognize that many of your goals are contradictory, that you have no unified outcome in mind, and that you must experience disappointment in connection with some of your goals, however the situation turns out. After covering the list of as many hoped-for goals as possible, for each unresolved situation that crosses your mind, say to yourself, I do not perceive my own best interests in this situation. And go on to the next one.
Okay, and so we'll practice today for 2 minutes. And again, the idea for today's lesson is I do not perceive my own best interests. Our task at hand is to scan our mind for situations for which we already have ideas of desired outcomes, goals for the outcome. And our job is to bring them to mind using the sentence, in the situation involving blank, I would like blank to happen and blank to happen. And so your job then is to think of as many outcomes as possible. And then once you are complete with that particular situation, you repeat to yourself, I do not perceive my own best interests in this situation. And then as there is time, go on to the next situation. All right, so as always, I'm asking you to just start to prepare, gently bring your attention to the support that's here, that's holding you in just the right amount. Just bringing your attention home here to the body, just ensuring that you are where the body is, that you know where the body is. You can bring your attention to your breath if you like, just noticing what it feels like to experience the breath as it is. And we're not asking the breath to be different to what it is. We're not asking the breath to be longer or deeper. We're just noticing it. And so I'm going to go ahead and share the screen again so that you can see the language, that you can peek at it as needed. See if I can fit both in. Maybe. Yeah, I think I can. All right, so you've got the language there. All right, so whenever you're ready, go ahead and close your eyes. And I'm just going to go ahead and start the timer. In the situation involving blank, I would like blank to happen and blank to happen. And then I do not perceive my own best interests in this situation. Okay, so that is our timer. Reminding ourselves that I do not perceive my own best interests in this situation. And so, as long as we are not sharing God's perspective, we don't know what any given situation is truly for. And so, when we construct our ideas, our goals, then we potentially not only have misunderstood its function, but also we don't really know, because we don't have a full grasp of it, we don't really know what the best possible outcome is. And not only for ourselves, but for everyone involved as well. And I notice that oftentimes people do not act within their own best interests. They don't. Especially because most of us, most of humanity at this time is just operating a life without faith, out of faithlessness. And so that misunderstanding is inevitable. And so for now, I'm going to bring us back to the text so that we can look at our principle of miracles. All right, so we're going back to the text, clicking on the meaning of miracles, the principle of miracles, and we're scrolling down now to principle 42. A major contribution of miracles is their strength in releasing you from your false sense of isolation, deprivation, and lack. Okay. All right. So I love the idea of screenshotting each of these principles as we go through them and then contemplating them through the day or the week, however long you like. And so here a miracle would be releasing from deprivation, a sense of isolation, and a sense of lack. Yeah. And so I've said many times that whenever we're feeling alone or lonely, it's a hint actually that we are out of alignment with truth, and that the part of our personality is having a little tantrum, and that what is required is to find the truth about that. It's just a little tantrum. Loneliness is a little tantrum that the ego has, because in fact, we are always connected. We are always in the presence of the divine. We have wisdom, and that wisdom and love is only ever a thought away. And to my mind, it just, I mean, we're so interesting and so magnificent. Our own company really should be enough. And so then when we're in the world from that place that I love my own company, that my own company is enough, then others will sense that full up feeling, because you won't be looking to them for anything. You won't need anything from them. And so they're free to be themselves. They don't have to guard themselves because you're going to be looking to take something that they aren't ready to give, or that they themselves don't have yet to give. All right, wonderful. So, as always, I finish with reminding you to check the alilacenter.org website, because on the calendar there are class opportunities to join online and in person if we happen to be in the same location. But regularly and consistently, we have the Tuesday night mindfulness-based meditation class at 7 p.m. Eastern Daylight Savings Time now. And that's on the third Tuesday of the month. And then on the fourth Monday of the month, we have the meditation and natural healing self-help. And as you know, both of these classes are an opportunity to create the conditions for miracles. All right, have a good day. Bye.